Justice and peace to each and every one of you. This is your servant of a man, God, the world's top cop with news uncut. Now in Dallas, Texas, you are about to get ready to see a young child who is white comes to a black house, banging on the door with a whip to go after a black female child, from my understanding. And you're going to learn how, once you figure out what is going on, and the conclusion, what could be done to ensure that this family remains safe and secure from the terroristic family across the way who happen to be racist. And you will see the problems that happened in this situation that the victims could have avoided, but luckily, because of the mistakes that were made, didn't cost the husband, the daddy, the father, the man of the home, his life when he went over to confront the daddy of that child. You're going to see this and pay attention to what is being presented, because there are three main key evidence, two that you will see up front that is critical. And once we are done, you will know the importance of having the help that is needed through CPIIA for every citizen, for all and any situations, to get you the justice and the proper help from the police needed to ensure that a crime that is about to be committed, or a crime that is in process of being committed, or a crime that has already been committed, when it is all said and done with CPIIA on your behalf, you would have everything legally, correctly, and precisely made and done for you to ensure justice will not be denied. Take a look at this.
Check out this video of this little boy coming to my house, beating on my door with a whip, trying to attack my daughter. Take a look at this. Also, please like, share, and comment.
Little boy, you better get your off my porch beating on my door like this. I will call the police. You need to leave. Don't you ever beat on them door like that. Go. Okay.
So as the video progresses, my husband goes over to speak to his father about what just took place.
Across the street.
Take a look at this.
You got video?
Come over here.
Not really.
We have it on video.
All right, get off my property. Seriously.
He has a gun behind his back.
Because you ain't coming over here talking nicely. You're accusing my son.
I'm showing you the video.
We're showing you the video.
The door. You ain't showing me the video of me scratching your car. Get off my plan. That's my vine.
Now, as you see, the first critical piece of evidence is the camera. Now understand that this child, who is a young white child, the future of this world, has been taught and was instructed, make no mistake about it, to go to this home with that whip, to bang violently on that door to attract attention. And you better believe the father or whoever across the way, the daddy was home. I don't know if the mother was home, but the daddy was certainly home, was videotaping, and guarantee this, that they were hoping that this black family would take the bait and assault that child. That didn't happen, so that was good. So not only is the camera footage important, you need to understand, and for this family and anyone listening, the most critical piece of evidence next is that whip. And the police, I guarantee you, didn't take that whip, and nor I guarantee you that the victims didn't tell or made known to the police to take that whip. Because that whip, ladies and gentlemen, is a part of a critical piece of evidence to a further crime that may happen or may not. We don't know. But from the looks of it, this is going to turn into a problem long down the road. And everything needs to be done in the correct way for this family to ensure that whatever may happen, that they come out alive, and that these terrorists, the daddy and whoever was adult in that home, gets put in jail, because this is clearly the actions of a hate crime. And this child who was told to go across the street, this daddy endangered that child. This daddy allowed a child to go to another location without proper guidance. So this child's life is in danger. And understand that this child is being taught hate, taught to have a whip and to commit violence on a black child at a black home on black property. And he was boldly going to that home without any fear, because he was taught that. While he is being taught that, many black children are being taught to drop it like it's hot, to shake your booty like the God gave you attitude, to listen and only pay attention to rap lyrics. This is the problem. And while this is being celebrated and adored in many black communities, in communities like this young child, they're being raised in a home to prepare to have violent behavior and actions and tendencies to your children, whom many black families are neglecting and raising improperly, and not with instructions and discipline, with education, understanding of the mind, and understanding of crimes and of life itself, and them being targeted for being black in the color of their skin, who commits no crime. And children like that boy is going to be raised to be a judge, to be a politician, to be a police officer, to be a doctor, and will have hate towards you because of the color of my skin. And he's being trained to hate, while many black children are being trained to dance and to rap, which will end up in nothing but mental and physical enslavement. But let me continue. Now, the camera and the whip is important. The daddy goes over to that home. That's a critical mistake. And that was what that man, the terrorist, was banking on, so that he could use that excuse of the black man coming to his home aggressively in his mind to shoot and kill him. But the only reason why that black man did not get killed on the property of that terrorist is because he had his wife present who was filming. But nevertheless, he had his wife on the scene as a witness on his behalf, was done incorrectly, in a danger to himself and a danger to his wife. Safety was in jeopardy. She was in an unsafe position, and the brother, the man, was in an unsafe position by bringing himself over on the property of the terrorist. Deadly mistake that could have cost him his life, and his loved one her life, and the child who was in the home would have been left without a dad and a mother. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. And this is critical. You cannot be emotional and allow your emotions to go so high that you lose focus on the main objective. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, with the crime that is being committed, this is a hate crime. That young boy was told and instructed by the guardian, the father, to go over there with that weapon, which is a whip, and that is a part now of a crime. And somebody needs to be in jail, and that is the daddy for endangering that child, to put the weapon of a whip in that child's hand. That whip is not some ordinary type of stick. Who knows how long that whip has been in that family? It probably goes back to his ancestors. That whip needs to be tagged as evidence. And so now, knowing this, to this point, the third critical piece of evidence for a crime that has been committed in this disturbance is that man's weapon. He endangered the child who came to the home, and he endangered the daughter who was at the door while he had his hands on a loaded weapon in the midst of a disturbance with a neighbor. He used that weapon and had his finger on the trigger. The finger on the trigger caused the discharge of the weapon, and the bullet flew out of the weapon, and that gun and the bullet that came from that weapon could have hit not only the terrorist, but the child who was at that home and the victims who was present on that scene. So did the weapon get tagged as evidence? And that should have been tagged as evidence, and I guarantee you it probably wasn't. And I guarantee you that they didn't know to make sure that that weapon was tagged as evidence, and it should have, because now that's part of a crime scene. We have a crime scene, and that man needs to be put in jail and charged with a hate crime and for endangering the life and welfare of his own children by putting his hands on a loaded weapon in the midst of a disturbance. And he was probably going to use that weapon, and that was very dangerous on the victim's behalf. But luckily, they made it out of that situation alive. But if they had CPIIA, they would have been able, with our assistance, had the 24/7 assistance for an expert witness, and properly document without having no stress and worry, already prepared for these victims of this terrorist act from this racist neighbor. The most powerful thing that they have and would have had is CPIIA, who would have properly documented, which is very important, everything, detail by detail on their behalf. Documented is the most important thing, documentation as a piece of evidence besides that whip, gun, and the camera. The most important thing that they would have had was documentation on their behalf. And we would have known properly how to document everything, which is critical for the courts, for the attorneys, for the arrests and charges. Critical. And you won't get it anywhere. And this is revolutionary. This is a must for every citizen to have CPIIA for the expert witness and for expert documentation, recording of evidence of all sorts on your behalf, proactively, before a crime, during a crime, and after a crime, and help citizens, guide them through the process when dealing and communicating crimes to the police. Ladies and gentlemen, if I were you, I would wait no further but to text CPIIA at the number that is provided for you, or go directly to the site and become a part of this community now wherever you are in the world, certainly here in America, to get you and your family and your neighborhood community safe, and to have the necessary help needed where law enforcement is not able to provide the help when needed, and if they do, to make sure it is properly documented for the attorneys, for the district court on your behalf. And thankfully, that this did not turn out another situation of a dead black man, a dead black woman, without the child having their parents and their lives. And understand it is my duty as your world's top cop. The limitations that I had as a police officer and all that I did for citizens, now I have no limitations on me. I release and give to you all the necessary tools and help needed for you and your family and your safety, your security. With CPIIA on your behalf, it will be my honor and my duty to serve you and for you to join now. Over out.